On the world of Avaris, humans were spoken of like weak myths, fragile, short-lived, and unworthy of bonding with higher races. Princess Kaelira believed it too. When the council suggested a political marriage with a human envoy, she refused without hesitation. "I will not bind my life to someone so small," she said coldly. Days later, an accident changed everything. During a diplomatic inspection, a reactor breach tore through the station. Chaos followed. Guards ran. Alarms screamed. In the confusion, Kaelira slipped and was trapped beneath fallen debris. Her guards were injured. Help was too far away. Then someone reached her. A human. He was an engineer, no title, no armor, no royal blood. His hands trembled as he lifted metal twice his weight, teeth clenched, breath burning his lungs. Logic said he should run. Survival demanded it. But he didn't. He freed her, shielded her from falling fire, and stayed until the last second, even as radiation alarms wailed. When their eyes met in that red-lit corridor, Kaelira felt something unfamiliar tighten in her chest, not fear, not pride. Trust. Later, in the medical chamber, she watched him from across the room. He avoided her gaze, thinking himself invisible among royalty. No one had ever risked themselves for her without duty demanding it. He had chosen her. Not for power. Not for alliance. But because it was right. When the council spoke again of marriage, Kaelira stood. "I refuse a human groom chosen by politics," she said. Silence. Then she continued softly, "But I will choose the human who chose me first." Across the room, the engineer finally looked up. And this time, she did not look away. The council chamber erupted the moment Kaelira's words settled into silence. "A human," one elder hissed. "A mechanic with no lineage," another scoffed. Kaelira stood unmoving, her spine straight, her crown heavy, but not as heavy as the truth in her chest. For the first time in her life, she was not defending tradition. She was defending a choice. The human, Ethan, was summoned. He entered the chamber awkwardly, hands clasped behind his back, eyes lowered. He did not bow correctly. He did not know the customs. And somehow, that made Kaelira breathe easier. "I did not save her for reward," Ethan said quietly when questioned. "I would have done the same for anyone." That was when Kaelira understood. Among her people, loyalty was sworn. Among humans, it was chosen. The council declared a trial, an ancient rite meant to prove worth. Ethan was given no weapon, no enhancement, no protection. Only a task: survive the trial of endurance, where even trained warriors failed. Kaelira watched from above, her claws digging into her palms as Ethan stumbled, bled, and fell, then stood again. Not with rage. Not with pride. But with stubborn refusal to quit. When the trial ended, Ethan collapsed at the final marker. He had not conquered the course. He had endured it. The elders fell silent. Later, Kaelira visited him in the healing chamber. He tried to rise. She stopped him with a single raised hand and sat beside him, royalty on cold steel. "You could have walked away," she said. Ethan met her eyes. "So could you." That night, Kaelira removed her crown and placed it between them. For the first time, she whispered, "I am not choosing as a princess." She took his hand. "I am choosing as a woman." And the stars of Avaris bore witness to a bond no law had foreseen. News of Kaelira's choice spread beyond the palace, beyond the city, across Avaris itself. Some called it betrayal. Others whispered curiosity. Never before had a princess chosen downward, toward a human. Ethan felt it everywhere he walked. Guards watched him more closely. Nobles spoke over him. Servants avoided his eyes, afraid association alone might stain them. He understood their fear. He even accepted it. What he didn't accept was regret. Kaelira noticed everything. One evening, she found Ethan on a balcony overlooking the twin moons. He stood quietly, hands resting on the railing, carrying the weight of a world that wasn't his. "You don't belong here," she said softly. Ethan smiled faintly. "Neither do you anymore." She stepped closer. "Do you wish I had chosen differently?" He turned, meeting her gaze without flinching. "No. I just wish you didn't have to pay for it alone." Something shifted in her chest then, something fierce. The next day, a challenge was issued. A noble commander accused Ethan of weakening the throne. Tradition demanded a public answer, not combat, but command. Ethan was given control of a failing outpost for one cycle. If he failed, the bond would be dissolved. Kaelira could not interfere. The outpost expected orders. Ethan gave cooperation. He listened instead of demanded. He repaired instead of punished. Slowly, systems stabilized. Morale rose. Humans and Avarians worked side by side. When the cycle ended, the outpost stood stronger than before. The commander had no words. That night, Kaelira stood before her people and spoke without a crown. "I did not choose a human because he is weak," she said. "I chose him because he stands when others rule." She turned to Ethan. "And I will stand with him." For the first time, the crowd did not shout. They watched. And somewhere among the stars, a new future quietly began. Peace never lasts long on Avaris. At the edge of the system, ancient warning beacons flared to life. The Car Dominion, raiders who respected only strength, had entered Avarian space. They had defeated stronger worlds before. They had no fear of councils or crowns. Panic spread through the capital. Generals argued strategy. Nobles demanded evacuation. The council turned to Kaelira, expecting command. Instead, she looked at Ethan. "The outer colonies will fall first," Ethan said calmly after studying the projections. "Unless we change how we fight." Some laughed. Others bristled. "A human advising our fleets," a general snapped. Ethan didn't argue. He worked. He proposed layered defenses, shared command, human adaptability combined with Avarian firepower. No glorious charges. No pride-driven duels. Just survival, and then victory. When the car attacked, they met resistance they didn't expect. Supply lines vanished. Traps closed. Fleets moved unpredictably. Human pilots flew beside Avarian warriors, covering each other without hesitation. When a shield failed, Ethan was there rerouting power himself, hands bleeding, refusing to leave the deck. Kaelira watched from the command bridge as the impossible happened. The car retreated. Silence filled the war room. Then, slowly, officers turned toward the human who had stood among them, not above them. Ethan exhaled, exhausted. "We held," he said. "Together." Later, as damaged ships drifted like stars reborn, Kaelira stood beside him. "They will remember this," she said quietly. Ethan shook his head. "They'll remember us." For the first time, Kaelira saw what her people were beginning to see, not a human groom, not an outsider. But a partner who didn't need a throne to protect a world. And as the stars settled back into silence, Avaris understood a new truth. Humanity did not conquer. Humanity endured, and lifted others with it. The war ended without celebration. Avaris did not erupt in cheers or parades. Instead, the world exhaled, slowly, painfully, counting who had returned and who had not. Repair crews worked day and night. Names were etched into crystal walls. Silence became a form of respect. Ethan walked among the wounded without escort, carrying supplies, listening more than he spoke. Soldiers, Avarian and human alike, nodded to him now. Not in obedience. In recognition. Kaelira noticed the change before anyone announced it. Doors opened faster. Voices softened when Ethan entered a room. Even the council, once hostile, spoke his name without contempt. One evening, Kaelira invited Ethan to the Hall of Echoes, an ancient place where vows were once tested. Light from the floating crystals painted their shadows across the floor. I was raised to believe love was a weakness, Kaelira said quietly. Something to be controlled. Delayed. Used. She turned to him. But you never asked me to be smaller. Ethan swallowed. I never wanted you to change. She stepped closer, placing her hand over his heart. Then hear this, human. For the first time, she bent her head, not as a ruler, but as herself. I choose you. Not because you saved my life. Not because you saved my world. But because when everything burned, you stayed. Ethan covered her hand with his own. Then wherever you stand, that's home. From the shadows, elders watched and said nothing. No law was spoken. No objection raised. Acceptance did not come with applause. It came with silence, and bowed heads. And in that quiet hall, beneath ancient light, a bond older than politics and stronger than fear was finally, truly seen. The ceremony was nothing like tradition demanded. There were no chains of obligation. No contracts etched in crystal. No alliance forged through fear. Instead, the gathering took place beneath the open sky, where Avaris's 3 suns dipped low and painted the horizon gold. Kaelira stood without her crown. Ethan stood without armor. They faced each other not as princess and human, but as 2 souls who had chosen to stand, again and again, when walking away would have been easier. The elder who spoke did not ask about bloodlines or species. Only one question echoed across the field. Do you choose this bond freely? I do, Ethan said, voice steady. I do, Kaelira replied, her eyes never leaving his. When their hands met, the ancient bond mark flared to life, not forced by ritual, but awakened by consent. A ripple of light spread across the gathered crowd. Gasps followed. The mark had not appeared in generations. The world itself had answered. In that moment, Avaris understood what its laws had failed to see: unity born of choice was stronger than unity born of rule. Humans were no longer guests. They were kin. Later, as the stars rose and the crowd dispersed, Kaelira leaned her head against Ethan's shoulder. Do you regret it? She asked softly. He smiled. Every path that led me here. No. She closed her eyes, breathing him in. Then let the universe remember this. And it did. Not as the day a princess married a human, but as the moment 2 worlds learned that love, freely chosen, could reshape destiny itself. Beneath alien stars, humanity did not kneel. It stood, hand in hand, with the future.